The Charlie Kirk saga continues. Somebody I know really well who is a prominent reporter for the Washington Post was recently fired as well for comments or stories she's written about the topic, and we haven't really talked about it yet. So in the wake of Jimmy Kimmel having his show pulled or taking off the air for his Charlie Kirk comments, we want to take a look at that at a glance. So ABC, owned by Disney, suspends talk show host Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely over remarks about right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk's killing. Kimmel said the MAGA gang aimed to score political points from the shooting, and some prominent Hollywood figures condemned the move as censorship and a threat to free speech. Also, Donald Trump welcomes Kimmel's indefinite suspension as great news for America. Before we get deeper in, I want to know what you guys think, so please leave a comment below. So, as ABC has pulled late night host Jimmy Kimmel's off the air indefinitely over the comments, a spokesperson for the Disney-owned network said in a statement that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. So earlier this week, Kimmel said during his show that the MAGA gang was trying to score political points off Kirk's killings, right? Kimmel did not comment to the BBC as he emerged shortly after the announcement from the television studio in Los Angeles. Celebrating the announcement, President Trump said it was great news for America. Kimmel said in his Monday night monologue, the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. The term MAGA is short for Trump's long-running campaign slogan, Make America Great Again. I'm sure we're all aware of that. Many of the U.S. president supporters often wear caps and shirts bearing that phrase. The late-night host also noted flags being flown at half-mast in honor of Kirk, which got some criticism at the time, and mocked U.S. President Donald Trump's reaction to the shooting. I quote, "This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he calls a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish," said Kimmel, who has often poked fun at Trump. On the day Kirk was shot, Kimmel took to Instagram to condemn the attack and send love to the 31-year-old activist's family. A suspect, 22, has since appeared in court charged with aggravated murder. Shortly after ABC announced Kimmel had been suspended, President Trump wrote in a social media post, "The ratings-challenged Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Kimmel was one of the top chat show personalities in the U.S. He has fronted his show Jimmy Kimmel Live since 2003 and hosted the Oscars 4 times. So after he was taken off the air, Kimmel left the show's studio on Hollywood Boulevard wearing a flannel shirt and cap and rode away in a car without comment. Fans of the show who had been queuing up to join the live audience expressed disappointment about the cancellation. Jana Blackwell, who's on holiday from Virginia, told the BBC, "This is getting ridiculous and stupid. Freedom of speech. He shared his opinion and is being canceled. To me, that is bizarre." A small protest was also held outside the studio with a sign saying "Trump must go now." And some prominent Hollywood figures spoke out against Kimmel's suspension, with actor Ben Stiller sharing the news on X and commenting, "This isn't right." Hacks star Jean Smart, who won an Emmy on Sunday, wrote on Instagram that she was horrified at the cancellation, adding, "What Jimmy said was free speech, not hate speech." Actress Jamie Lee Curtis posted an Instagram story with one of Kimmel's own quotes from earlier in the year. "I don't believe anybody should be canceled. I really don't," he said in April. Other figures showing their support included singer John Legend and actor Josh Gad, while actress Alison Brie, described the news as unreal and very scary. The ABC announcement came just after one of the biggest owners of TV stations in the U.S., Nexstar Media, said it would not air Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. Nexstar said the comedian's remarks about Kirk were offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse. Quote, "We do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located," said Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. The chair of the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, Brendan Carr, thanked Nexstar for doing the right thing and said he hoped other broadcasters would follow its lead. Nexstar is currently seeking FCC approval for its planned $6.2 billion merger with Tegna. So, Sinclair, the largest ABC affiliate group in the U.S., followed suit. It said it would air a special remembrance program dedicated to Kirk this Friday during the original time slot for Kimmel's show. FCC head Carr, a Trump appointee, had earlier criticized Kimmel's monologue. The head of the U.S. Commission regulator said on Wednesday that the ABC host had shown the sickest conduct possible, and he urged Disney to take action. So, quote, "Broadcasters have a license granted by us at the FCC, and that comes with an obligation to operate in the public interest," the Trump appointee told Benny Show, a conservative podcast. He noted that an apology from Kimmel would be a very reasonable minimal step, but Ana Gomez, the only Democratic member of the FCC, criticized Carr's remarks. She posted on X that an inexcusable act of political violence by one disturbed individual must never be exploited as justification for broader censorship or control. And then the Writers Guild of America, WGA, Hollywood's labor union, condemned the decision to take Kimmel off air as a violation of constitutional free speech rights. Shame on those in government who forget this founding truth, it said in a statement. SAG-AFTRA, another union, said the move was the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. A person familiar with Kimmel's situation told CNBC that the host had not been fired, adding that bosses at the network intended to speak to the comedian about what he should say when he goes back on air. Interesting that they would want to speak with him about what he should say when he goes back on air. So Kimmel's the latest late-night host to see his program run into issues as more viewers turn to streaming over traditional network viewing. And that's an interesting trend to follow. In July, rival network CBS announced it would end The Late Show with Stephen Colbert next year after 11 seasons. Network executives said the move was not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount, which is somewhat suspicious. However, Colbert tore into the network and its parent company over the decision. He accused CBS of leaking financial figures to the press and alluded to a $16 million settlement with Trump after he sued the network over an interview its 60-minute program did last year with former Vice President Kamala Harris. That payout came several months after the Disney-owned ABC agreed to pay $15 million to Trump to settle a defamation lawsuit after its star anchor George Stephanopoulos falsely and repeatedly said during an interview that the president had been found liable for rape. A jury in a civil case had determined Trump was liable for sexual abuse, which has a specific definition under New York law. So, we'd like to know what you think. Do you think it's right for politics to enter media and create censorship? Or do you believe that free speech should prevail?